Have you ever felt like there was a probe waiting for you at every corner? Cue the music. Hey, this is Manny Moonraker, and this is episode number 48 of the UFO Report, brought to you by UFO Buster Radio. That's kind of cheesy, but that's the way I like it. By the way, if you haven't had a chance to listen to episode 101, it is the episode where we interview Brett Collins Shepard, and he was the individual that helped translate the text from the two girls in the Czech Republic, the hairdressers, Ilona and Ivana. And let me just sit down and say this, because I need to say it. The truth of the matter is that we have to explore every single facet of ufology, no matter how far-fetched you think it may be. Even if you don't believe in mediums and you don't believe that entities from other dimensions can contact someone and give them messages year after year, maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe you believe that people just get probed every other day. Or you believe that you get taken away for 20 years to Mars to fight aliens. Then again, you might just believe in unicorns and the Fairy King. Whatever it is, we should still explore it. There is something that explains a lot of these situations within ufology that deal with aliens, UFOs, and things that come from 4.2 far. But you can't close your mind to what you hear just because it's not your cup of tea. If you're into ufology, you should have an open mind. Plain and simple. Do I believe that what Ilona and Ivana are going through are the end-all be-all, the answer? No, it's another perspective that we can use to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of aspects in it that kind of mingle with other theories, but their story stands on its own in many ways. So don't shut it out. Keep an open mind. Okay, so today we have a story and a PSA because we want to make sure you don't miss out on this one. But before we get to that, we have a story which a version of this was posted on UBR Truth Seekers a couple of days ago by the one and only Ronnie Dawson. And it has to do with the issues that have come up recently out of Rendlesham Forest. And by the way, I did post all the extra information regarding Ilona and Ivana's story, including pictures of when their car was quote-unquote blown up, and they believe that it was done by individuals that did not take kindly to their EBE story. So check it out, UBR Truth Seekers group on Facebook. Join the discussion with us, because we want to hear what you have to say. So the story that's going on right now, thanks to a recent UFO conference in the UK, is that the Rendlesham Forest craft actually belonged to the military, to the Royal Air Force, RAF, and that everyone that saw this supposed UFO that belonged to the military and police in the area that were involved in this particular incident in the investigation, that they were all confused. As a matter of fact, it turns out that maybe even Nick Pope might have read this one wrong. So of course you know that the Rendlesham mystery has been dubbed by many as the Britain version of Roswell. And it became something of legend when 3 U.S. officers based at the Bentwaters base claimed that a triangular-shaped craft landed in the neighboring woods in the early mornings of December 26, 1980. There was a lot of interest in this case, and the MOD got involved, and one of the individuals that knows exactly what was being investigated was Nick Pope. And if you follow ufology, if you even looked at videos on TV History Channel, Ancient Aliens, I'm sure he's been on there too, you know Nick Pope. He was employed by the MOD, and he kind of dealt with this UFO situation. What happened recently was that a new theory was proposed by a UFO researcher that goes by the name of Russ Callaghan, and he produced an image of a space capsule. According to Russ, this particular space capsule was stationed at one of the nearby air bases at the time that the Rendlesham Forest incident occurred. According to him, what they saw at Rendlesham was actually a test flight, a mucking of this particular little space capsule that the 67th Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron was testing at the Woodbridge base at the time of this incident. So, in other words, what he's saying is that all these people got fooled because it was just a regular old space capsule. And if you guys remember the story as it relates to Colonel Charles Holt, who pretty much was the most senior person at the incident, and he investigated it the night after the initial incident, the next morning. According to the story, he went to investigate, and what he found was 3 impact holes in the ground, and a lot of damage to the canopies of the trees around it, and even some radiation. There was another story about an individual who walked up to this UFO, and they actually saw markings on it. Well, it turns out the capsule that Russ is saying was the one that fooled all these folks is actually in Florida. And he has a picture of it. Now, if you look at the pictures, there aren't any strange markings like it was reported by these military personnel. And on top of that, Nick Pope is pretty much completely befuddled by the idea that anyone would suggest that the people in the military, especially those in the United States military, would not recognize the space capsule. Of course, we had the Apollo space missions, and a lot of these people as kids saw the astronauts land, splash down in water inside capsules that look exactly like this. So even Nick Pope is completely beside himself, wondering how the heck is it that anyone would suggest that what these experienced military folks actually saw was just a mere space capsule from the 67th ARS. In addition to this, Nick Pope also stated that not only is it kind of strange that the United States military did not know that this testing was happening around their soldiers who were at Rendlesham, but that it is highly unlikely that the Ministry of Defense also did not know that this type of testing was being conducted around their bases. So this leaves a lot of questions for Nick Pope. It leaves a lot of questions for everybody, to be honest, because if you look at this capsule, and the link is in the description for the article that I used, there are several pictures of this capsule. It doesn't look foreign, and I would think that in 1980, military personnel would be able to recognize a capsule that's being used for space programs. By the way, when I said ARS, that's actually the name of the group that was mucking around with this capsule, the 67th Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron out of RAF Woodbridge. But for this story, it is the 67th ARS.
How you doing? This is Guido the boss, and I want you to listen to the guys over there at what is that called, huh? UFO Buster Radio. Yeah, that's it. Mandy Moonraker and the Big O. Yeah, go to their website. Waste a lot of time. UFOBusterRadio.com. and tell them Guido sent you. Shut up.
Okay, listen, don't forget to follow the podcast on Facebook. We have 2 pages, UFO Buster Radio and Manny Moonraker. We also have the one and only UBR Truth Seekers group page on Instagram at Manny Moonraker and on Twitter at UFO Buster Radio. Be there or be square. And by the way, because of those social avenues, I've been able to line up several interviews of people that are wanting to come on here and talk to you guys about their research, about their publications, about their perspective on ufology. And that's why I said, you gotta have an open mind, folks. Don't be rubber dicking people just because you think they're gonna be rubber dicking you. One good rubber dicking doesn't deserve another. Be kind to others, and they'll be kind to you. Anyway, the last story really is a kind of PSA, because I mentioned this a few months ago, maybe a month ago, or something like that. It was something along that vein. Cassini, the spacecraft, is about to bid farewell this week. According to NASA, the grand finale for Cassini will happen on Friday. The spacecraft has traveled over 1 billion miles. On the last of 127 passes by the moon Titan, the craft will slow down enough to eventually plummet to its freaking doom on Saturn. So for those of you who don't remember the episode where I first talked about this, the Cassini started back in 1997, almost 2 decades ago. It's been kicking ass and taking names and providing us with substantial data. In the last 5 months, Cassini has been traveling through Saturn's rings and basically on a mission that they figure was not going to be able to be completed. But yet the mission provides lots of substantial new data on Saturn, the rings, and the moons. So what's happening is that Cassini is basically running out of fuel. So why not go out with a bang and let's crash the thing into Saturn and see what happens, right? So if you want to keep an eye on this, Cassini is supposed to be dropping into Saturn on Friday morning, 7:55 a.m. Eastern Time or 4:55 a.m. Pacific. And according to NASA, they will be trying their best to ensure a smooth ending. I don't think any of that is going to be smooth, but according to what they believe, the friction of Cassini entering the atmosphere will pretty much burn the thing up, and they're not really going to get any data by the time it hits whatever the ground is, wherever it's at. It'll be long gone before that. So this has been UFO Report number 48. Stay tuned for 49 on Thursday. And this Sunday we will have a guest, I hope. They still haven't confirmed, but either way, the next month we're going to have a lot of guests coming through here. And they're going to be sharing some stuff with you guys. So until then, laters.